So now we're going to talk about water, which is a pretty important part for your plants. But did you know, depending on the kind of plant you have, you might need to vary your water needs. Hi, welcome to the Tye-Dyed Iguana, and my name is Grace. So today we're going to talk about 7 things that you can use to have houseplants successfully. So I have a couple plants here right now. This one is a fern, which is more like a bushy plant. And then I have a pothos. Both are very common houseplants. Pothos do more of a vining growing pattern. So they're very different in how they grow over time. So the first one I'm going to start off with is just your pot. So you can go something simple like a plastic pot like this, and you can also upgrade to a ceramic pot. There are pots that have holes and drainage to help keep your plant from getting too wet, and then there's ones that are completely closed at the bottom that don't allow any moisture to escape. So picking out your pot can get as bougie as you want it or as simple and basic. You can absolutely keep gorgeous houseplants on a budget, or you can get as crazy expensive as you want with it. So one of the first things you'll need is some potting soil mix. There's a lot of different varieties out there that you can use. I personally prefer organic. I like to try to keep pesticides and things out of my house, so I will usually pick an organic one, but to each their own. Everything's gonna like its own thing. So if you get a drier species of plant, they're gonna like more of a sandy, not as moisture holding soil. And then there's a lot of varieties like pothos and ferns will do great with your generic potting mix that you can find at any store. This is one of the ones we have here. But yeah, you can get that. You can get it small bags, big bags, whatever fits your needs for your plant. Just kind of look into what plant you got and see what it needs. And then for your succulents and cactus and other like more dry species of plants, you can use a mix like this. It's just designed for plants that don't like too much moisture. So next we're going to talk about some additives that you can add to your plants to help. That's anywhere from nutrients to worm castings. There's so many out there that you can choose. I personally really like these. These are what I've personally used, which is why I'm sharing them with you. So first there's the Mycos. These is really great. You put it on like the roots as you're transplanting plants, and it helps just enhance your root growth and just overall promote good root health. I've used it for aloe plants, and I've also used it for more tropical plants like pothos. So it worked really great every time I've used it. And then this is worm castings. Worm castings are very, very nutrient dense castings from worms, and it's really great for your plants. It's more of a natural thing that you can add. So if you have pets or things like that, or you're not sure on mixing ratios or anything with like your liquid nutrients, this is a great thing that you can just sprinkle into your soil as you water your plant. It's going to help take in those nutrients further down into the soil and just help promote good growth and an overall very healthy plant usually. So I have used this. You can use it in your garden. You can use it in your potted plants inside. There's no shortage of use for this stuff. So next we're going to talk about lighting. Lighting is the same as everything else. You can go all out with it as you want, or keep it as basic and simple as you want. Not everyone has a lot of really great natural light in their home, or has a plant that wants a higher light than what a window will simply provide. So when you have a plant like that, you can simply add lights. So these here, these 13-watt lights, I have actually got these. I used to have my bathroom like full of plants, and I literally just put these in my normal light fixture and would leave the lights on during the day, and it worked amazing. I didn't have like a big window in my bathroom, and it kept my plants very happy and healthy as I did that, and I didn't have to add an extra fixture into the room just for my plants. But anyways, these work really great. They're easy. You don't have to do much. You don't have to rig special lighting to be able to utilize them. And then this one is a T5 grow light. It's more of a strip light that you would need to hang up. You can hang it on shelves really easy. You could probably adapt it to a shower curtain or, you know, all sorts of stuff. But I have also used these. They work really well. They're very affordable in my opinion too. You can also, there are lights that go on red and blue spectrum with their lighting to help promote blooms and different things like that in your plants. So depending on what kind of plants you have, you might want to explore some of those other options. But these work really great. And if you have natural light, you can always utilize that too. So you don't have to have this to get started, but it can definitely help your plants grow quicker and healthier and happier if you do have it. So it's definitely a benefit to have at home if you're into plants. So next I'm going to talk about how you can help support your plants. Some plants get very long and stocky and tall. Some want to bend down naturally. In either case, if you're someone who likes seeing bigger, fuller plants, sometimes they need a little support to get there and stay there. So you can just grab something like these. These are just bamboo like skewers that you can use. You just pop it into your pot, and you can use something like this. These are soft wire ties that you can gently use to help secure the plant stalk around to the bamboo stick. So you can use something like that. Sometimes just that little extra support can do so much, because nothing's worse than having a plant finally reach the height you want just to have it snap on you because it got a little too top heavy. And then something else you can do, this is a piece of cholla. If you want something that looks a little nicer than the bamboo, you can always put in a piece of cholla into your pot and kind of do the same thing. With this having holes on it, the fun thing about this is your vining plants like pothos will climb and grab onto this naturally on their own. So if you want something that's just gonna look a little more natural and look a little more aesthetically nice, this is something you can add in there to help support your plants. So now we're going to talk about water, which is a pretty important part for your plants. But did you know, depending on the kind of plant you have, you might need to vary your water needs. So for most of my plants that I've had, I just use at-home water. But occasionally you have special plants like these. So these are carnivorous plants, and they get their nutrients from the bugs they catch, which means if you use regular water with them, it's too much on the nutrient level and it ends up hurting the plant. So with these guys, we use something called RO water or distilled water. Basically, it's had all those extra nutrients stripped out and means that the water is now safe for these plants to use. If they get too many nutrients, the plant starts to brown out and die on you. So it's really best to stick with distilled water, or you can use the RO water that we have here at the shop for them. Other than that, regular water works. You can always dechlorinate your water just to be on the safe side, because sometimes that chlorination can mess with plants that are a little more sensitive. But other than that, it's pretty simple. So the next thing you'll need to take into consideration is temperature. Some plants like aloes, succulents, cactus, and among many others like warm temperatures and hot, and really strong direct light and things like that they thrive in. And then you have other plants like this philodendron. They don't necessarily want your house cold, but they do really well in more like medium type temperatures in your home, and they do really well with that. So you'll want to keep in mind what plant you're getting. You know, you're not going to want to keep your house frigid and then get something like an aloe. It's just not going to grow really great for you. And you don't want to get something that's a little more delicate and scald it either. So just keep in mind when you're shopping for plants what works for you and your space and what you want to have at home. So thanks for joining us for these tips and tricks on how to have houseplants at home. Remember, you can get as complicated and out there as you want with it, or you can keep it simple. Either way, we have everything you could need to do it.